Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are talking about small, local, or municipal government because they're getting serious about facial recognition problems, and I think this is a really good thing. Now, this is coming from The Verge that just had a great article on this, but we're going to be talking about the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, because their city council voted unanimously this past Friday to approve an ordinance banning the use of facial recognition software by its police department and other city agencies, according to the Star Tribune in Minneapolis. Now, the ban adds Minneapolis to the list of U.S. cities moving to limit or end the use of such technology by its law enforcement officers and city employees. Most notably, San Francisco was leading the way on that. But Minneapolis Police Chief Madaria Arradondo, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, said in a statement that the ban was created without feedback from him, the police chief, and that he believes it's possible for facial recognition technology to be, quote, utilized in accordance with data privacy and other citizen legal protections. Again, according to the Star Tribune, facial recognition software has been found to have age, race, ethnic biases, and privacy advocates have raised concerns about its use by law enforcement. My third TEDx talk was on this subject. Although the premise of my TED Talk had nothing to do with this, but I bring up the serious flaws that studies by MIT and others had shown in facial recognition and why we need to improve it. Now, the point of my talk was basically how facial recognition could possibly end things like racism or bias and all of that, but at its current state, there's no way because there's a lot of false positives with this. And so Minneapolis's ordinance created basically an appeals process allowing city agencies to request exemptions under some circumstances. Now, if you recall, Minneapolis was the site of just enormous public protest last summer after one of its police officers killed George Floyd during arrest in May. I don't think anybody here in America could forget that. That was a horrific 8 minutes and I believe 42 seconds. Now, the city council voted to disband its police department last June, but ended up just reducing the department's budget in 2021 by less than 5%. So essentially, that's where we're at with this. No facial recognition. Now, also, and I found this to be interesting in the article, software made by Clearview AI. I have talked about them at length in my daily podcast video and on my radio show. This is a controversial firm that has a database of something like 3 billion images that they've scraped from social media and other websites. They're included under Minneapolis's facial recognition law, and BuzzFeed News reported last year that Minneapolis was one of the police departments that had access to Clearview's software. Clearview also has contracts with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, as well as the Department of Homeland Security. They have been a bit of a menace just for privacy and everything else. I seriously have done video after video of them over probably the last 2 years or so. Other cities have also implemented ban on facial recognition. As I mentioned, San Francisco. Portland, for example, is blocking both public and private use of the technology. So if you own a building, you can't have facial recognition integrated cameras. Boston is another one. Oakland, just across the bay from San Francisco, have also passed laws prohibiting public institutions from using facial recognition. But Portland was basically the first to really just nip that in the bud. So we're going to see this, I think, continue to grow as citizens have deep concerns about their privacy, not to mention false positives. As I mentioned, that study from MIT showed that there's a very healthy percentage, especially when it comes to minorities, that are simply falsely identified as one person or another. And most famously, essentially, all 535 members of Congress were put through a facial recognition database and compared against a mugshot of 10,000 criminals, and that 10,000 criminals did not include their faces, and the facial recognition system basically nailed a whole bunch of them as criminals, tagging members of Congress as criminals, and obviously feel free to insert your own joke here. That was a joke I used in my talk, which actually got a laugh. So that is your news of the day. I think this is good. Good on you, Minneapolis. I'm proud to see that. And hey, Chicago, please be next. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, everyone.